everybody. I'm Katie. I use they, them pronouns, and I sing second soprano in the Luminous Voices.
I'm Wes. I sing bass, second bass, in Luminous Voices.
Hi, I'm Celia. I sing alto.
And I'm Rod, and I sing tenor too. We have gotten together here. We've been chatting a little bit about the recording process for Sea Dreams. We're very excited about this recording being made available for everyone, and we were having a few memories about that. So, Katie, why don't you lead us on that conversation?
Sure. Thinking about the Sea Dreams recording process is always really interesting to me because I wasn't supposed to be on the recording. I sometimes sing with Luminous Voices when they need kind of a ringer, and Sea Dreams was one of those situations where Tim texted me in the morning. There was somebody who called in sick, and he said, "Hey, are you free tonight? Can you come sight sing and record?" Which is such a quintessentially Luminous Voices thing, I think. Everyone, there's such a great community, so much talent, so much support that it really just feels fun to kind of come in and sing together and not panic about, oh no, I haven't seen this music before. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice, thanks, Katie. Wes, do you have any memories of the recording?
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, Katie, it's funny you should mention that that way because I had the opposite thing happen. Because I phoned him, I can't remember how many days before. I knew I was going to have to go to Winnipeg, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do the recording because I was going to be leaving Friday evening or something like that, right before we started. And he goes, "Oh no, we can't do this without you."
Oh, we need those monologues.
And so it was
Change of
interesting.
plans.
Yeah, he offered to buy me a plane ticket, and the rest is history. We did it. But I don't remember much about the piece itself at this point. But what I really do appreciate being able to be involved in these Canadian things. It makes me feel close to everybody that's involved in the art process, particularly music in Canada, especially in Calgary. Like when we're doing stuff that's much more local, it's great to be involved.
How about you, Celia?
I remember having to sing these really long notes with lots of crunching, and it required so much listening. And I was just thinking, when you're singing like these runs in Bach, you're not necessarily as sort of connected with your neighbors. And I just remember having this feeling of like real togetherness and of listening. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, brilliant. Crunchy chords are one of my favorite things. What I was remembering about the process was kind of on the front end when Peter came and we were at the new opera center, Mandani. Yes, that's the one. And we were asked to just kind of make noises. He wanted to see what our range was, what we could do. And for me, being part of Luminous Voices, we always have a score in front of us. And it was like this moment of liberation from the score. And we just were to kind of play around, make sounds, so that creative process was really kind of impactful for me, because I think so much of choral music is like all there in the page in front of you, and what we do is try and move it off the page. And so this one wasn't even on a page yet, and so it was a completely different experience, which I also loved. So I think people are also curious about how we're keeping up our voices and our singing over this time. I'm going to confess I haven't been doing a lot of singing, but Katie, maybe you got a different story than I do.
Not particularly. One of the only experiences of singing I've had over the pandemic was I previously sang with the Cathedral Church of the Redeemer as one of their section leads. And every year they do an alumni evensong. So they ask folks who have been part of the choir for years past to kind of come back and sing in a service. And Neil Coburn is the music director there right now and is doing phenomenal work trying to kind of keep the community going during the pandemic. So one of the things that he's been doing is getting choristers to send in video recordings of themselves singing work and cobbling them all together to make kind of a virtual choir. So it was really interesting to be part of that at distance. It was very strange because I felt like I hadn't sung in like 4 months. And then focusing in on this, like, hymn that was 2 minutes long and trying really hard to get it right, because you kind of can't rely on the people around you to boost you up that way that you often do in choirs. You have to kind of be recording ready, which was pretty intense. But it was a really great experience. And afterwards, when the actual service came out, Neil had us do kind of a virtual coffee hour over Zoom, which was really cool too, to kind of make sure that church connection was still there.
Cool. How about you, Wes? Have you been singing?
No, not very much, but do a lot of vocalizing when I'm alone in my truck or whatever. I kind of have an addiction to that sensation of making my voice active. I'm always playing with the whole part of my range, and that's a lot of fun. I haven't done as much of that recently because I have no way to realize it. Having said that, though, it's still very much a part of my psyche, and I do it as much as I can. It's interesting to note that clients often comment on, it's nice to hear me humming or whatever, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. But in any case, beyond that, we're more involved in our gardens now than in our singing. So we've got some projects going with that. It's exciting to learn new ways to process the food, and it doesn't take long before we're out of space. Our freezer's not very big, and our fridges are full. We're starting some greenhouse projects. I want to build a food dryer soon. Just looking for the right materials for it so that it's food safe and all of that. I think I'm going to convert a bicycle into a spinner or something like that.
My dad did that.
Like, don't you get tired of doing the pump action lettuce spinner? I hate that thing. And it takes forever to spin a little bit of lettuce, and you can only do a little bit at a time. Man, I want a big one. Anyway, so that's what we're doing, making food, growing our own stuff, and it's very exciting for us.
Nice.
And our family too. We got 7 grandkids now, and we get to see them regularly, and we get to involve them in things like this. We put a fire pit in our backyard. We cook some food over it, and it's a lot of fun. So to me, that's all music too.
How about you, Celia? What are your musical endeavors lately?
I've been doing a bit of singing with a church I work for, so recording it for online services. I've been still keeping up with teaching a little bit, and then a little bit working on some projects sort of in the hibernation phase. Even though it's summer, it's currently a hibernation phase. Yeah, I typically take time away from structured singing in the summers anyway. So I find that singing's like, it's very self-reflective, which can become self-judgmental. And so I find like having some time off to just sort of sing when I move to, and not sing when and just do it in a way that's just like, just being. It's nice to take that time to just be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my singing has been pretty minimal. Yeah, and part of that is local foods kind of skyrocketed, and so I've been super busy. So happy about that. But nothing beats kind of coming together with multiple human beings, multiple hearts in a space, doing that music together. So yeah, like a deep drive for art, I think, in all of us. I can hear it. And I think that's maybe one of the other curious things is that we do kind of engage in other forms of art. And so yeah, Wes, you told us a little bit about your gardening, which I, for one, as an urban farmer, think is a beautiful art form. But yeah, Katie, what about you? What art have you been working on, or what projects? Anything?
Projects-wise, I'm going back to school in the fall, so I've been doing lots of reading, trying to get our space here set up. Viv, my wife, made this beautiful curtain to make this study space really lovely for me. So that's been our kind of main focus at the moment. But artistic-wise, I write poetry. Right now I'm working mostly on concrete poetry, so often taking musical scores and kind of chopping them up and layering them on top of each other so that they make a different visual narrative than a musical score. And I have a chapbook of concrete poetry coming out in a few months that I actually wrote during the pandemic itself. So yeah, I guess I'm really grateful that this happened in 2020 and not, in 2002, when the technologies that we had for connecting were not the same, that the technologies that we had for creating were not as available. So yeah, it's been kind of a weirdly productive time, even though a lot of our world is on pause.
And if people wanted to get this book, how would they do that?
Oh yeah, it's coming out through Above Ground Press, which is a small publisher in Ontario run by Rob McLennan. So I can give the link to Megan so she can post it.
And Wes, any particular creative projects that you're working on?
Yeah, I've got a little timber framing project that I'm dragging my heels on. A friend of my brother's wanted a covered deck on the back of his house. So I had built one for my brother, and they'd enjoyed beers and burgers together under there, so he wanted me to build one for him. So it's the timber framing aspect of it that's particularly, exciting for me to get involved in that, because I've wanted to do that, get involved in that kind of building for a long time. But it's hard to get involved if you don't just jump off a cliff. And that's what I have a hard time doing. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, jumping with both feet kind of thing. Yeah. And Celia, what about you?
I made some window boxes.
Nice.
They're flower boxes, and my friend who's a steelworker made custom-made brackets.
Wow.
And my friend who came to the apartment said, and I quote, "Celia, it looks like a functioning adult lives here from the outside." So like rave reviews. I think that was in contrast to like the blow up donut and dancing unicorn and sign saying Candy Mountain that were there previously.
That's totally functional to me.
That's right. And I guess for me, one of the things that I've been kind of messing around with is a little bit of whittling carving. So I got myself I know my camera's pretty poor.
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
Oh wow!
But it's like it's my, when you're stirring your stuff in your stir fry, you need kind of flat end. And then this is very in process, but my brother and sister-in-law they're in process of labor right now. And so this is gonna be a little baby spoon once we get it down to the right size. So that's something that I've picked up. And I typically only do it when I'm out backcountry hiking, because otherwise I'm in Wes's boat where got too many irons in the fire when I'm back in the city.
I guess I might add, so in terms of keeping busy and staying connected to the community, So at the beginning of the pandemic, I started doing deliveries for Pages Books, which was really nice and really like a nice way to like see people without getting too close to them and connecting with people and feeling useful.
Yeah, I have not felt as useful over the last 6 months as I have ever felt. Yeah, we felt we needed to fight to get the classification of being an essential service, which I mean is laughable now. Of course, food is an essential service, and so yeah, we've been delivering harvest boxes with YYC growers, which just kind of grew. We went from 300 to almost 800 boxes, and so we've been just running, trying to make sure that ship stays floating and going in the right direction. It's been fun.
You cooked up your shallots and kale for dinner tonight, so.
Yum, yum, yum.
Thanks, everyone.